me, then your camera roll may be full of a bunch of photos and videos of things that you thought were cool or sites that you thought were interesting, and then sometimes you go back at the photo you took and think, wow, that was not the best photo, even though I thought it was cool in the moment. So I thought it would be fun to just make a simple, straightforward video on how you can sharpen your cinematic eye and make your everyday life a little more interesting. Nothing in this video requires a fancy camera or fancy equipment. All these tips are applicable to just using your iPhone camera or just using photos in your camera roll. It's all just about changing the way that you see things. So let's just get into a few of my favorite tips. The first thing that I think is absolutely essential in any photo, video, or shot that you take is the rule of thirds. Now, fair warning, once you learn about the rule of thirds, you really can't unsee it. Now, every single time I take a photo or a video, I mentally picture the rule of thirds. Now, imagine that your screen or your iPhone camera is divided into 9 equal squares with 2 horizontal lines and 2 vertical lines, almost like a tic-tac-toe grid. The goal of this composition rule is to not always place your subject directly in the middle of the frame, but to place them on one of those lines. This will immediately make your photo a lot more interesting and a lot more intentional. There is actually a way you can go into your settings and apply the rule of third grid right into your camera. It makes things so much easier, so that way you don't always have to visualize it and it's just right there on your camera. I actually wanted to go through my camera roll and just look at photos and videos that I've taken that follow the rule of thirds and then also don't follow the rule of thirds. So for example, I have 2 photos here of the exact location taken at the exact same time. The photo on the left is not necessarily a bad photo, it's just that your eye doesn't exactly know where to follow or where to look. Whereas the photo on the right that's following the rule of thirds, it's a lot more intentional, and you can see the 2 subjects of the buildings are on those lines and just makes the photo a lot more dynamic. And let's say you're taking a photo and the rule of thirds just slips your mind. That's totally okay, because you can go back in and crop and adjust your photo to fit those grid lines. Sometimes I'll also go back in and adjust the horizontal and vertical angles of the photo just to also make that more intentional. I have a bunch of photos now in my camera roll that follow the rule of thirds, and like I said, once you see it, you really can't unsee it. Okay, so now you have your shot, you have your photo, you have your video, but it might not be painted in the light that you envision. When you look at a clip from a movie or a cinematic shot, it's not always about the composition, it's about the mood, and a lot of that comes from color grading. Color grading is basically just adjusting the brightness, the colors, the contrast, and tones of an image to match the vibe or the mood that you want to paint. As you can see, color grading can completely change the way your shot looks. You can do this really easily directly on the photo in your camera roll. There's a bunch of settings at the bottom if you just want a quick fix. I'm definitely not an expert at color grading, but sometimes I'll see a photo or a movie and think, wow, I really love the color grading on that and I love the filters on that, but I don't exactly know how to capture that. So if you want to take that step further, something that I've been doing a lot recently that I actually found on Trend Tutorials right here on YouTube, he has a whole video about this. It's using color match and comparison view on, let's say, an editing software. You can take any still image from a movie that you like or even a photo that you like. I'll use filmgrab.com, or even scrolling on Pinterest sometimes to look for inspo is really helpful. You can actually load your reference shot directly next to the footage that you want to apply the color match to. This will take the color grading in the movie reference image you want to use and apply it to your own footage, which I think is really cool. And this makes it a lot easier, especially if you don't know all the logistics and exact ways to color grade a photo. You can just take a still image from a movie you like and apply that filter to your own photos. And it's a really fast way to give your own footage a cinematic look. I've been trying to find an equivalent for just editing on your iPhone, and I recently found this app called Polar, and it's pretty much the same concept. And if you're editing on your iPhone, there's also super simple apps like Visco or Tezza or even CapCut where you can take filters and apply those to your photos too. And the last tip I have that might sound cheesy, but it's just to romanticize the mundane. Making things look cinematic isn't always about the technique, it's about having the eye for it and creating something out of nothing. To the ordinary eye, a scene may seem boring or may seem like it can't be made into a cool photo, but if you have the right mindset, it can be made into something cinematic. Sometimes I'll be with my friends and I'll just pull out my phone and take a photo of something super random, and they'll be like, "What are you doing?" It's really just about noticing those cool, intricate details that can easily be overlooked. So if you've been hoping just to transform your camera roll and make your photos a little more interesting, I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.